Alrighty, we are back. Hey everybody, Steve here, the retired hobby tech guy, and today we're taking a look at some epic Galactic Armory Borderlands Mask screen mesh free download that you can print on your K2 Plus or other printer, and you can have some cool screen material for your cosplay items. Like I said, I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, American expat in Korea, and we've been working on the Borderlands Mask from Galactic Armory. Now, I did a live stream just a little while ago, and we printed out some red. If we take a look on the desktop there, you see off on the left-hand side, we've got some red screen material that we did. But below the helmet, we printed out some blue. So yeah, blue. And the whole idea is that we'll have a blue highlight or the blue graphic on the mask, and then we can have some blue background, screening background on the eyes, and then we'll have some red go on top of that. George is back. George has got a lot of time. He's been checking out things. Good to see you, sir. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take a look at this mesh material, and I was kind of racking my brain a little bit on how to do this. And so I finally figured it out because I was just getting sheets of material and it wasn't getting the mesh. And so I wanted to go over, because I know there's some, maybe I'm the only clueless one on the planet, but maybe if you're clueless, you don't have to tell anybody. I can help you out with this, and you can look smart, and I'll just be the clueless one who didn't know how to do this. So, with that said, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at our desktop here, and this is the Quality Print software. So, what we're going to end up doing is we have this file, and it's kind of cool. But the problem was we had some layers on the top and the bottom, and so it didn't look like this when we printed it out. It was kind of like, okay, well, there's the file in the prepare, and then when we did the preview, it didn't look like that, and there's a reason for that. So when we go over to here it is. If we look here, you got the top shell layers. And these are the number of solid layers on the top shell, including the top surface layer. When the thickness calculated by the value is thinner than the top of the shell, it does some weird stuff. But notice how it's set to 0. If I set that to 1, that will put one layer of, and we have this set at 0.2 millimeters, it will cover up the infill. And if we go back to that, and it ends up being 0, but we also have to reset the bottom shell layers as well, because normally those are set to like 3, 4, something like that. So if we go down here to the bottom shell layers, those are the bottom layers, and we also have that set to 0. But if we had it, set to, I think the stock was stock setting was like 2 or 3 or something like that. And what we'll end up seeing is after this, we'll see that the very bottom layer is that bottom layer. So you're going to have 2 layers of bottom layers, and then you're going to have the infill pattern, and then you're going to have the top shell layer. But we don't want that. We want to set that to 0, so that way when we slice the plate, the only thing that is left is the infill option. So we go down here. Yeah, that's kind of what we end up seeing there. We'll just kind of move this over so we can kind of get a look on that. But there is the corner, and there is the infill. So when we go down here to where it says sparse infill density, we set that at 35%. And then we go down to our infill pattern, and usually this is set to grid. So at least on mine, so if we had set that to grid and we slice the plate, then you'll get a grid pattern. But I wanted something that wasn't as square. Kind of looks, well, they're tilted squares, but what I used on mine was that honeycomb pattern. And yeah, so we just go ahead and we do that. And so there is an opportunity that you can change the infill pattern and get some different type of screen or looks on your screen, and that could work out pretty well. So yeah, that's what we ended up doing. Excuse me. So that turned out pretty good. We ended up doing this print, and it did well. So yeah, as we can end up seeing out on the tabletop there, we've got some printed out in red, we've got some printed out, newly printed in blue. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go over to the table and we'll do a little transition thing as I move Mr. Microphone over there. And then we can get into tracing and cutting out the blue visor for our Galactic Armory Borderlands Ripper Mask and see how that works. So I was pretty pleased with the red, but you know, since we got the red and blue going on, I decided let's go ahead and do the blue. And maybe we could cut out a little bit, and later on, you know, we could print out something for the eyes being red. So that could work out really well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do a little transition video as I move over there. And then once I get that set up, then we'll click to the top-down view and we'll be good to go. So during this time, what you can do is press the like and subscribe button. So we're just going to go ahead and move on to the transition. And there you and boom, there we are, and we are back. Imagine that. So like I said, here is our Ripper Mask, which has turned out pretty good. Again, what we ended up doing is printing this in one piece, again, from Galactic Armory. It was part of their Patreon program. And we sand painted this, then we taped it off. We spray painted the black on here, taped it off, and then we did brown for this portion here. And then what we're going to end up doing, that will allow us some time to use some of these cool new paints that I picked up from Art Deco. Probably not the metallic ones, maybe. But that way we can start painting and using those instead of the Galactic Armory. So let's go ahead and set this aside. And we'll show you a look on how this came out. So as you can see, we got some pretty good, that is some good material. We got an excellent print on this. Now when we did the red, there's a couple areas where we had some problem areas. So I was a little concerned, but as soon as we did the blue, we came out with a great print. So yeah, really nice, really nice. So what we're going to end up doing, and like I said, we took out and we did a little template of the eye slit that is on this, and then we cut out this material for the mask. And I'll show you what that looks like, because it turned out pretty good. And that'll be easy to glue and get all that stuff in there. Let's see if we can get that so it actually into that slot. And that is what it looks like. So that turns out pretty good. And that is the red. And so what you could end up doing is printing out some blue slots on here, and make some blue eye pupils, I guess, or eye slots. And you could do that on here, or you can end up, like what we're going to do is we're going to take the blue and we'll cut a screen, and then you can put like a red eye or an eye slit on that and add a little bit of more customization. And that is going to be so easy to be able to glue into place. You're not going to have any problems, and this is going to turn out great. Just need to decide what color we're going to do. So let's go ahead and we'll take a, we already have our template, and what we can end up doing is we're just going to use a Sharpie, and we'll just go ahead and I think we'll just go ahead and move it over right there. I need to get a fine tip Sharpie is what I really need to get. I keep going to the store and I keep forgetting it when we go and get other stuff. Just a little bit of A little bit of drawing and tracing, and then cutting this out, and we will be good to go. Now, the whole reason that I'm doing this is because the original piece from Galactic Armory was, they had an additional piece that you printed out that was supposed to go in that slot, and I did print that out, but the problem was this was the piece, and it's printed flat, and so we put this into some hot water and was able to bend it, but it doesn't fit into the slot. It's kind of like some extra geometry or bends that are on here, and it's just, this just doesn't work well. So you could probably force it and manipulate it. If we take a look at that, I kind of got it the best that I could, and so we get that type of effect, which isn't bad, but so you're still going to be able to see the eyes, but I think with the mesh, it's kind of a better deal because you're not going to be able to see in, you could still see out, and then again, we could put on those eye slits. But I was just kind of, I wanted something different, so that's why I kind of figured out, let's try the mesh, and we'll see how that goes. So let us go ahead and we will cut this out. And I'm really kind of interested in doing more cosplay stuff. So that is kind of the thing that we got going on. And this Borderlands Ripper mask is stuff that I've been doing, is my dipping the toe into the cosplay world. So hopefully the plan is to do all this stuff, and then what we'll end up doing is kind of, Halloween is coming up here in Korea, and they do have some Halloween events and people dress up. Of course, we're close to a military base, so there's a lot of Koreans that show up. So we're going to do a little Borderlands thing, I think. That'll be our first little cosplay thing that we got going on. So we've got this all trimmed out. I think that's about the same size. Pretty much for the most part. I guess I could throw on the, let me take a look at my tablet so I can see if anybody leaves a comment or anything. So let's go ahead and pull up that. But yeah, kind of looking forward to that. So, George asked the question, what do you say is the best infill pattern for strength? I've been using gyroid pattern. I use gyroid a lot, and then that was kind of like my go-to. And then I started going over to adaptive cubic. So I've been kind of running between gyroid and adaptive cubic for infill. And like I said, on this, the mask that I just did, I think that was 7%, and I would be confident in going down to like 5% on that. But gyroid's good because it doesn't cross over, the head doesn't, the print head doesn't cross over on the lines like you do with grid, so it removes that possibility even though it's slight. Gyroid is good, but you're still going to use a little bit more material. But the adaptive cubic was recommended to me, and it's pretty, the stuff I've been doing has been pretty good as well. So yeah, it's seems to be doing well. Just get a little bit, I think we should be good there. So now, that's a good question though. So let's see what this is going to look like in blue. Oh yeah, look at that. Fits like a glove. Awesome. Then we turn that around. Boom. Look at that. So now, you can imagine you have the blue stripe coming on here, cobalt blue. You have this blue here. Hell, you could even paint the screen material cobalt blue so it matches. So you can imagine having a color like that. So yeah, you could spray paint this or airbrush this, the color of whatever, you know, the screen material to match the colors that you want. But that looks pretty good as well. And again, I think if you ended up taking like, let me show you what I was talking about. Since I'm not going to use this, let's just go ahead and cut this out. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here for the eyes, for the eye slits. And we'll kind of do that right there. Take this, let's clean to get it better. That. We'll do the same thing on this side. So basically what I was talking about the eye slit is that you would be able to get this thing back going again. We could do something like that. And then what we could end up doing is we could print out a little red piece here, and then we could actually glue that on to, is my finger shaking? Seriously? Stop shaking. So we could do something like that, and to have that eye slit. If I can try to, don't you hate it when you try to get perfect? So you could do something like that. And that would be really cool. So you'd still be able to see, but this would kind of be that, you would have kind of that look of a red eye slit. And so you got the blue and everything. Maybe do a little bit of red somewhere else on here, but that would really be a striking helmet. And the eyepiece there, instead of just having it open or just having it with the screen, there's that. Oh, here's another possibility as well. Like what I ended up doing on this Ripper mask, as you can see here, I did just some window screen material, and that came out pretty good. So you could also do, and then I also have some window screen privacy tint on here. But if we ended up, we could also do something like that. So again, you know, there's a lot of different things that we could end up doing on this to just kind of add a little bit more detail. The other thing we could end up doing in painting this piece is paint it in white and then do a fluorescent red, and then that would give even more little pop on this. But that's kind of a cool little thing, you know. You could do just a little slit there, and yeah, that could be kind of a cool little detail that you could do. So that's something to think about. So we've got some options. We've got the red, we've got the blue, and again, what we could end up doing is airbrushing these with the color that we're going to use for the blue. This is a cobalt blue, so we could have the blues match. I also have some of these other paints over here that if I kind of wanted a metallic sheen on this, we've got a deep cyan blue that we could end up using in these paints here. We got some metallic paints, which would maybe a pearl bright blue. So that's a possibility there. What would that look like? But that would kind of have like a metallic sheen on it. But I don't know if this is deep enough. I like this cobalt blue because it almost has a purple to it. And I think this is too light. So I don't know, maybe this would be okay if I added like a drop of purple, which we do have a pearl purple. So we could maybe try to get that color. But I'll stick with what I did with the first mask. with this cobalt blue, and I think we could run with that and just kind of paint that on here, and we'd be good to go. And then throw on the little eye pieces, you know, kind of sand those so they have some rounded corners. I think that would end up working really well. Because this piece here, yeah, it's it needs work, so I'm gonna throw that away. It doesn't really seem to be a good thing. So yeah, but yeah, and then the other thing, if you don't want to print this out or you don't like the look of this, again, what you could end up doing is get some window screen privacy material, and you could throw this in here, so that way you get something like that, which that could work out. So you've got the kind of like the bronze on this side. You've got silver on others. There's different like colors and shades of this. So you could even go with something like this and have the silver being reflected. And again, you can see out, but for the most part, people won't be able to see in. But then you could also go with the same little eye slit thing that you could put on there, and you could just glue that in and do that. So that's always an option as well. Or do both. You could put in the mask, the screen material on your mask like that, and then what you could end up doing is putting this material in there as well, and so you've got a little bit of a reflective type of effect in there as well. So yeah, a lot of different options that you could end up doing with this. It just adds, it depends on what you want to end up doing. But yeah, it's just so cool, all the stuff that you can do with some of this cosplay stuff and these masks and helmets and all this. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that you could do. This even, I saw a picture, and I can't find it again, where somebody ended up having a Ripper mask, but they ended up having a light up LED in like a diffused little printed space like that, and that was super cool looking. So, but I don't think I'm going to have time to do that. We're going to spend a couple of days on taking a trip for a couple of nights, and then we get back, and I want to try to get this thing painted up. So I don't think I have enough time to do like the LED thing to do it justice. I don't think I have enough time. So anyway, that's what I end up having, being able to print out some screening material for our Ripper mask. And this is actually, you will be able to download this so you can print out your own, whether it is the red, the blue. You could change the infill pattern to whatever you want if you don't like the honeycomb that we have here, and then you can use whatever color of filament. And I'll show you where you can download that for free. So with that, we're going to have to do a little bit of a transition again. So give me a few seconds here. We'll bring Mr. Microphone back. And hopefully I don't knock anything over. And we will get back to our desktop. Back to the desk. So, yeah, some pretty cool stuff. The Ripper helmet is going to be, this is going to be a cool helmet. I'm really going to like this as much as I like the other one. I dig the spikes and everything. I can kind of see something in my mind of how I want this to look. And with that screen material, the little eyes in there, I think it's really going to pop. But like I said, I promised you all some screen material. So I'm going to show you where you can get that screen material. So let's take a look at our desktop, and I'll kind of show you what we ended up doing. So with this, we already looked at the material and how you could change, and we've got the honeycomb, which seems like a great one. Great little thing. 35% infill. Remember, you do not want to have any top shell layers or bottom shell layers. That way you just print the infill and you'll get that. So like for example, if we went to grid and we slice this plate up, then we would be able to get that. So you can change the infill pattern. Some infill patterns you won't be able to do because they won't connect. And so, for example, and some of them just wouldn't work. Like if you do like Hilbert curve, come on, click on that. It's always that little bit of thing that we got there. Now I don't know how well this would print out because these are kind of some freestanding, you know, if you kind of do the little race thing and you follow this line, there's not a lot of support. So this would actually be a lousy infill pattern to do because it's not connected to each other. So yeah, the Hilbert curve probably wouldn't be a good thing there, but the 3D honeycomb, I don't know, that might be a good one. That you can kind of look at that could work. But you can't go wrong with just the honeycomb. But there's so many different ones that you can try and preview within the slicing software. You can just play around and pick the one that you like best and see what works. So anyway, like I said, I was going to promise you that you would be able to pick this up, and lo and behold, you can. So if you go, and this is Creality Print, this is The Varied Life, this is my page where I do put some models on there, and taking a look, I've got 2 pages now. So I did like an airbrush holder, I've got a self-supporting airbrush holding stand, I got a paintbrush, and if we go to the next page, we've got some other items, plates, little spool drawers, some other little things, Army painter, paint racks, wall mount paint rack, K2 Plus extender for the PTF tube because it wasn't made right, little 3D tabletop miniature thing that we got there, that was kind of cool. And then now, this is the cosplay mask helmet screen. And so you can download this. It's a 3 MF file, so everything is set up for the Creality K2 Plus. You can probably download the files, and if you have a smaller bed mesh, you could just kind of slice that up because if you scale it down, those holes would be really small. So this fits on the K2 Plus, which is a 350 by 350 cube. I mean, those are some big sheets that we did. 35% infill, everything is set and ready to go. And again, we've got some real good results there. And yeah, so there's that. Honeycomb mesh, all there for you. Download it and you're good to go. So I wanted to offer that to people because I know that some were looking at it saying, hey, that's kind of a cool idea. Where can you find it? You're just able to do a little outline, kind of like a perimeter, and then just fill that in with the mesh and you're good to go. So there you have it. Feel free to remix and adjust as necessary. So anyway, that's what we end up having, the Galactic Armory Borderlands Mask screen mesh free download for you. And it can be used for cosplay, it could be used for masks, you could use it for, you could even repair the screens on your windows if you wanted to. You could 3D print it and glue it on there and you'd be good to go. So anyway, with that being said, I think we did a pretty good job of that, and our mask is going to be good. I think this is going to work out well, and the mask is coming along quite well. So if we, and again, this is going to be good. So yeah, I think this is, the whole Borderlands thing, the Ripper Dude, I think that is going to turn out really, really nice, especially after we get all the distressing work done and the painting, and yeah, I think it's going to turn out really good. The other mask turned out great, and I'm kind of hoping I can take this to that same level, so we'll see what happens with that. So anyway, for those of you watching, please like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. That would be the best thing that you can do, and we're going to continue on through this process of doing this mask. And again, you can find this mask on Galactic Armory on their Patreon, but you can also find the other Ripper mask on printables, and you could find that. Matter of fact, let me pull that up and I'll put that into the comments section, printables, and slow internet. Okay, Borderlands Ripper Mask 4. Boom! And so let me just go ahead and copy this. And this is free for use. It is for personal use only, but there it is. You can find that on printables, so you're good to go on that. Okay, greetings, Steve. It's pleasure to see you again. I understand that you're currently enjoying a fulfilling and prosperous life. I'm also learning a great deal about 3D printing. Well, great, cool. I'm glad you are. Just kind of jumped into it and keeping the mind occupied. You know, idle's hands are the devil's workshop, as my grandmother used to say. So I'm trying to stay really, really busy. But yeah, it's kind of cool to do all this stuff with the resin printing, the 3D printing, and all that other stuff, painting miniatures, learning how to paint, and putting all this stuff together. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's cool. I like being retired. I feel sorry for the people that just sit around and drink and get drunk and smoke all day. I mean, there's so much more out there that you could end up doing. And it doesn't even have to be creative 3D printing stuff. It could be hiking and traveling and whatever else. I mean, music, learning, writing programs, or whatever it is. There's so much that can be done. Just need to jump into it, jump into the deep end and go hard. So with that, we're going to close out this video with the obligatory outro. There's the email address if you want to contact me. If you want to buy me coffee, there it is. There's a link in the box down below. But again, like I said, the very best thing that you can do for me is to like the video. So take some time to smash that like button. I would appreciate that. And if you subscribe, you can be notified of future videos and see where this Ripper Mask is going to go, and if it's going to turn out as well as I kind of got pictured in my head. So anyway, we'll leave it at that. So everybody that has been watching, George, Nefertum, and anybody else, we got a few other people that are watching. So thanks for watching and stopping by. And again, if you want to send me an email, just say hi or pictures or doesn't even matter. I answer all my emails. So it's good to kind of have the discussion and see what everybody else is doing, even if it's not 3D printing stuff. Again, I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, American expat in Korea. And yeah, we're having fun. And hopefully you will too. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next video. Peace. Good stuff. Good stuff.